Hello and welcome to Big Dash Knows. Big Dash knows what? New York Giants football. Let's go. You see the shirt. New merch out there now. Giantology, the study of Giants football. You can find that link on the YouTube channel. But again, I do want to like it. I do want to thank everybody for the support, on the channel with the podcast. You guys are buying the shirts. I appreciate all the love that you guys are giving. 100%. 100%. So I didn't drop a podcast last week. What better time to drop another one than draft week? And I just want to hop right into it. I'm going to give a couple of updates, and then I want to talk a little bit more about the draft. So the first update is that the New York Giants were able to not come to agreement, that the New York Giants were able to sign A'Shawn Robinson. That deal went down today. He was already in the building. He signed his contract. And to me, that points to something that's going to happen in the future. Now, of course, the money was already low. Didn't have a lot of money to spend. And then we signed A'Shawn Robinson on a $4 million deal with a chance of that deal reaching upwards to $8 million. And like I said, the New York Giants didn't have any money. So to me and to a lot of people, it points in the direction of some extensions have to happen, not just before the season starts, but possibly some extensions are going to happen soon. Now, is this going to be Leonard Williams? Is it going to be Dexter Lawrence, Adoree Jackson? There's only certain places that you can go to get more money, and those are probably the only three places you can go. Saquon Barkley, yeah. It's not many options to get this space or create this space in order to sign your draft picks, in order to maneuver more in free agency, in order to operate, in the season with a certain amount of money. So some moves have to be made. But again, the pickup of A'Shawn Robinson, that's a big deal. To me, that's a very big deal because you point to the New York Giants defense and you think about their weakness, how bad they were in the run. And you get into the free agency, you pick up a guy like Nacho. Now you pick up a guy like A'Shawn Robinson. You add him to Dexter Lawrence. You add him to Leonard Williams, getting back a healthy Azeez Ojulari. Signing Bobby Okereke. Now this defense is starting to look or come to shape. And you get kind of excited with it because last year, you had Dexter Lawrence. He was filling the gap. He was getting double teamed, but the linebackers weren't doing their jobs. They weren't getting to the gaps. They weren't following and reading their keys. They couldn't locate the ball. And you have a guy that's pretty much proven in Bobby Okereke to do all those things. And now that you address the defensive front, the front line, the trenches, a lot of people were thinking that the Giants might go, defensive line, possibly early if certain people were there. I think it falls back a little bit unless somebody that's just spectacular is there at 25 and at the defensive line, and it's undeniable. You might go back to the defensive line. So, again, big signing today, in my opinion, with A'Shawn Robinson, bringing something to this defense that is needed. And on paper, I'm liking the way this defense is looking right now. But again, I'm hoping that this linebacker spot next to, Bobby Okereke, because he can play the mic, but he did not play the mic to after Shaq Leonard left in the Colts with his injury. And do we put Bobby Okereke back in his natural position of, the will linebacker? And then we're hoping that a guy like Darian Beavers can heal. Well, he's already healed up, can come back and look the way that he was looking early in the training camp and in preseason last year. Or do we address that position also in the draft? Now, when I think about the linebacker spot, I don't think about the linebacker spot at 25. A lot of people will tell you that Jack Campbell is not a reach at 25. I like Jack Campbell. Jack Campbell grew on me prior to doing some real research on him. I thought he was just one of those bigger thumper linebackers, not very quick. And he isn't the quickest linebacker, but when he's, straight line speed and things like that. But the way he reads and recognizes plays, the way he reads his keys, like I said, he's fast. He's fast in his own way. When he trusts what he sees, he gets there in a hurry. And when he gets there, oh boy. So, Jack Campbell, I would love to pair him up with Bobby Okereke, but I don't think he'll be there at 57 with the pick that we have in the second round. Also, we have to address the secondary. And again, a lot of people believe the cornerback is going to be where we're going to go at pick 25. In my latest mock draft, I had the New York Giants picking Emmanuel Forbes. Emmanuel Forbes is not number one on my list of cornerbacks, in the range of where the New York Giants are picking. I would love if Joey Porter or Deonte Banks fell to us at 25. I like their physicality a little bit more than what Emmanuel Forbes can give you, but Emmanuel Forbes is no slouch. He can't do much with that frame, but he's a ball hawk. Great ball skills. I believe he had over 14 interceptions in his college career, six pick sixes. He is uber talented. But again, cornerback is another spot where people are looking at pick 25. Now, one thing that I saw today, because again, this is draft week. Smoke screens are being laid everywhere. Articles are dropping talking about what teams are interested in, what prospects teams are out on and stuff like that. And I'm reading an article today. It was a mock draft from Peter King, actually a YouTube video too, and he's talking about the New York Giants might take Michael Mayer, the tight end out of Notre Dame. Now, this is not a knock on Michael Mayer at all. I think Michael Mayer is a fantastic prospect. The type of tight end that you want, traditional. Funny too, because when you think about the New York Giants, you think about Jeremy Shockey. But if you're a little bit older, you also think about Mark Bavaro. And that's one of the names that comes up when you talk about, Michael Mayer. Of course, Notre Dame, tight end. And you can't help but bring that connection between, Bavaro and possibly Michael Mayer. But to me, I think right now, today, the tight end spot, I do like Daniel Bellinger a lot. When he went down with the injury, I think it's stunning. He can not even stun at his growth. I think that we just missed out on, making him even better when he missed those 5 games with the broken eye socket. And for me, I think it's too early to be redundant. And not saying that Daniel Bellinger is better than Michael Mayer, but I've seen what Daniel Bellinger can do. I have certain expectations for Daniel Bellinger. So if we don't, pull the trigger on Michael Mayer at 25, it does not concern me, because this tight end class is deep. You can probably get a tight end in almost every round, and they be good value, depending on what you're looking for. You can find a starting tight end in the first, in the second round, possibly the third round. You can find a quality tight end in all those rounds after that. And if you're just trying to fill your room up or build your tight end room, you can absolutely do that in this draft. And again, we have Daniel Bellinger. We have Darren Waller, possibly, if healthy, will be a super impact player at the tight end position. So I just can't see Michael Mayer being the pick at 25. Now, I know a lot of people will say the same thing about the center position, and I go so hard about the center position, saying, okay, well, we can get centers later in the draft. I see what you mean, because I hate it when I hear people say that. But I will say this about the tight end position: the tight end position goes about 15 players deep. Throughout the draft, the centers are about 5-6 deep when it comes to quality centers in this draft that can possibly contribute this year outside of the big names. And of course, the biggest name is going to be John Michael Schmitz. But again, smoke screens are coming out. A lot of false information is coming out. Big news today with Aaron Rodgers being signed, or agreeing to the Packers and the Jets agreeing to the terms of a trade for Aaron Rodgers. And I think it's a good deal on both sides. I think both sides win. The Jets, absolutely, they get Aaron Rodgers. And on the other end, the Jets get first round pick swap, with the Packers. They also get the the Packers get the first round swap with the Jets. The Packers also get a second round pick, and then the Packers also get a conditional pick next year. That right now today is a round 2 pick, but depending on how much Aaron Rodgers plays, that second round pick can turn into a first round pick. So if you're the Packers, you're absolutely hoping that the Jets are successful and that Aaron Rodgers is playing at least 65% of the snaps, and that's, I believe, what it is, 65%. he has to play at least 65% of the snaps, and then that second round pick turns into a first rounder. So I think both teams won this trade. You really won't know until next year, once the season is over, and then also if Aaron Rodgers decides that he wants to hang it up, or if he decides that he wants to play again. And in that case, it's really both sides winning if Aaron Rodgers plays more than 1 year. But again, that's the big news in New York. But at the end of the day, for me, the New York Giants are still kings in New York, and that don't change at all for me. Other than that, we had some news with Saquon Barkley. A comment made by Saquon Barkley when talking about the contracts and how, they haven't had much movement. They haven't had much communication with the Giants, meaning his reps in the New York Giants. And the word of mouth was that Saquon Barkley pretty much was saying, we're at this point, whatever happens, happens. And to me, you hate to hear things like that, but I can't say that I'm surprised at him saying that. Again, you have a man that wants to get paid a certain amount of money, and this doesn't seem like it's going to be, working out in his favor. And super talented. We already know that's not even a question when it comes to Saquon Barkley. The talent level is there, but the market isn't. And unfortunately, that plays a big role when it comes to business, the business side of things, and not the personal things. So the New York Giants hopefully can get a deal done with Saquon Barkley, but again, not sure exactly what's going to happen there. But again, I hope that they're able to do a couple of things. Now, getting back to this draft, because again, it is draft week. I love the back and forths. I love the comparisons for players, prospects. I love the positional value chats that we have all the time. I love the arguments over the center versus the cornerback versus the wide receiver. All that stuff is fun. Giants fans don't take anything personally. Again, I like the banter. I like the banter back and forth. I like it. I love it, actually. I like to hear other people's point of views. I like to know how people are thinking, and also like to know the reason why they're thinking the way that they are. And hopefully people do the same for me when they hear me say certain things, that I'm just not blurting stuff out. I'm actually thinking about it and thinking about it before I say it, most of the time. A good percentage of the time, I would say. Sometimes you might catch me trolling too. Early in the morning, I like to troll. But other than that, I try to be serious. Outside of that, man, again, it's just pure excitement. Again, we're picking at pick 25, and then unlike other years, when you're picking low in the draft, top 10, top 5, you know exactly where you possibly could be going. And now you're picking at 25, and it's really not up to you. It's all about, who's going to be there when it's time for the Giants to pick. And that's scary in some parts because there's a lot of good players that you want on the team. But then when you get to that spot and there's going to be a couple names on that board, and you know that one of these guys are going to be a Giant, that's the excitement. That 2-3 minutes where they let you know the Giants are on the clock, and then, they give you like 10 minutes. But, okay, this pick is coming in. Who's it going to be? Was I right? Was my friend right? Was the guy in the chat right? Things like that. And it's just very, very exciting to me. And I can't wait, for this Thursday and for the rest of the days in this draft, man, because again, anticipation is something else. But again, let me know in the comments down below if you're watching this on YouTube, who do you want the New York Giants to have in this draft? If you're listening on the podcast, go ahead and give me the 5 stars, man. I'm loving that support too. Download the episodes, even if you're not going to listen to them, just download them. It does so much when you download these episodes. It helps with the algorithm. It gets the show out to more and more people that love the New York Giants, like you love the New York Giants, like I love the New York Giants. And again, I just thank you for all that support, for real, man. I appreciate it. I absolutely appreciate it. So I think I'm going to wrap this episode up with that. Talked a little bit about the draft, talked about A'Shawn Robinson getting signed, talked about the Saquon Barkley comments, talked about the smoke screens, with possibly the Giants taking Michael Mayer at 25. But I will say this too: let a guy like Kalijah Cansey fall. You're taking a long look at him. Let a guy like Brian Bresee fall. You're possibly taking a look at him too. Let some of these wide receivers fall. It's going to be an exciting couple of days this week when the Giants are on the board and when the Giants make these selections, because again, there's a lot of players that you can draft that's going to help improve this team, and hopefully the New York Giants can compete again. Some people like to call it a rebuild. Some people don't like to call it a rebuild. Is it retooling? Whatever you want to call it, the New York Giants are ahead of the game when it comes to that, man. We're ahead of the process. We went to the playoffs last year. It wasn't a fluke. This is real good coaching. The way when you build up the roster, the team is only going to get better. Now, I always hear that, you know, these teams are improving. This team got better. That team got better. But you don't hear too much about the New York Giants getting better. And the New York Giants are in fact getting better. The roster is better, and hopefully the coaches can get the best out of this roster again. But I want to thank you guys for vibing with me. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And from one Giants fan to another, this is Big Dash Knows, Big Blue Nation. Let's go.